Please help me. I'm addicted.
I can remember my childhood before the drugs. Then everything's pretty much a blur after that. And
I wouldn't get up without having a hit of amphetamine and a hit of heroin ready for when I woke up.
Keep drinking till you sort of basically comatose yourself. I regret every second I wasted to heroin.
I guess I was about 16 when I started to drink.
Up as down as life as screeners, you know, and now I took it. Oh, a little bit of brown powder can completely swallow your life up. If it hadn't been heroin, it'd have been alcohol, for sure, because I was trying to hide from things in my childhood. It's silly now, but at the time, you know, that it's everything, where you come from, where your roots are. I'd spent all my youth travelling around and being not told I'm going, but coming home from school and find that they can't have you any longer. I always felt I didn't belong, nobody ever wanted me. I was very difficult to look after, and I got chucked out from one home to another. Being abused along the way did not help, and there's that sort of things that makes you, you know, you try to cope with it. You don't have the skills as a child to put that together. So, and I used to drink at 12, 13, smoke, you know, because it was all an escape, you know, and that's what it was all about, you know. And then I knew when I got 18 I'd get some information about my mother. And I'd got a mother. No father, who they were putting their hands up to anyway. But I got a half-brother and a mother in Newcastle, where I was born. And I took the time out to go and find them. Big mistake in hindsight, that was. Going up there to find her out, I was shaking like a leaf. And I met her in a pub and everything. I so wanted it all to go. I was so forgiven, and, you know, let's start again, but she didn't want to know. You don't call me mother, call me Alice. Came back down to Norwich, and that was when I was looking for this drug then, you know, serious looking for a drug. You say, I'll just do it weekends, you know. The weekend starts Friday, and before you know it, it ends the following Thursday. That's part and parcel of it. You're just sick, because it hits you suddenly, and it just... And you get to, you like that sickness, you know, and then it becomes, till you don't be sick anymore, you're sick without it. And when you first start, you do it, I don't like needles, I'll never do that. So, but you end up, you think, he's now gone and scored that for me, I've got to give him half. No, why should I give him half? I could have had that bit for tomorrow, you know. I mean, I'm not proud of kicking in 28 chemist shops and taking the DDA cabinet, I'm not proud of that. I'd get about 4 years, well that terrified me, prison. But that was the first sentence of about 7, I think. Out of 160 friends or people I know that are dead, I should say a good quarter of them have been overdoses straight out of jail. Your brain stops telling you to breathe. Shallow breathing, sweat, heavily perspiring, shallow, no blood in the face, purple, all the extremities go purple, the lips, the fingers, nose, clear their mouths. Well, you put them in a recovery position first. The police always followed up an overdose. They don't now so much. I realise that a lot of people don't get treated or get an ambulance out. A lot of lives are lost through that, you know. So I started using her drug and she started using mine. So I suppose we picked up an extra habit each. We went to the services as such for help. They said, well, if you really want to give up, the one thing you two have got to do is split up and do it separately. But we said no, that wasn't an option. We're going to do it together or we don't do it at all. Of all these illnesses that were put on hold that should have come out throughout my life, but heroin, it just suppresses. You can be as ill as, you know, you can be gravely ill, and as long as you've got that, or whether you do it that way or whatever you do with it, as long as you've got that, anything else don't matter. One thing when you come off gear, you have to start coming to terms with the wrongs you've done to people, you know. You just have to think, my God, you know, how can I ever put that right? But you have to try. You have to do it. And I was 50 years old and suddenly I had to, it was like leaving school again and learning the ways of the world and like, because you stunted, you just, it's like being in jail. You don't exist. You don't live, you exist. When shit hits the fan and you're getting in trouble, you reach for that bottle or that syringe. That's a sort of a comfort. That's what you hide behind, because that's what you've always done. And I thought I was way past all that, 7 or 8 years clean at the time. But no, it made me realise I am still an addict, but I'm not using one at this moment.
I've been suffering depression and anxiety. Work wasn't getting any better, and I was off work for about 6 or 7 months. But me, I sort of didn't want to go anywhere. I was quite happy just sitting indoors and, basically just went out to get my drink, really. I had a relationship which went a bit wrong, and I started to drink to sort of dull the pain or, stress or what you might call it. And I think that gradually I started to drink more and more, and then in the end, I was sort of on my own most of the time. When I first started, I probably wouldn't have a drink till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then that gradually get early, and then you find you start at 11 o'clock, So those first few hours aren't too bad, but you've got something on television, and your mind, you can keep control of your mind. But I used to drink whiskey then. I don't think I was quite ever a bottle a day, probably about 3/4 of a bottle a day, and I used to have a couple of cans of lager or something like that. When I was at the worst, not all the while, but when I got to the worst, that was sort of like the window on the world sort of thing. I'd watch the news and I'd watch movies, I'd watch the music channel, and things like that, and anything what would focus your mind. I got angry with myself, got annoyed with myself, got annoyed at other people, and anaesthetised you, against those feelings. Because they're always there, they don't go away, they just sort of put them out of the way for a little while. I was never really relaxed. You got to the point when you think we might as well keep on drinking, because that's when it gets really bad, Keep drinking till you sort of basically comatose yourself. I mean, your mind is racing, your body's racing, basically. I go to sleep and wake up in a panic, and I wasn't quite sure what I was panicking about. I mean, I don't think I ate anything for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then you just get weaker and weaker, really. So it gradually got out of control. And I really got quite ill, and I had to go in the hospital. The isolation saved me to a certain extent. It was good in one way and bad in another, but probably saved me from getting into other trouble, So when I came out of hospital, I just had to basically get myself back in gear and get things sorted out. And I was all right for probably best part of about 15, 16 months. And then I just sort of slipped back in to start drinking. And there again, it wasn't too much. One day I'd drink, and then another day I wouldn't have a drink, and then perhaps a couple of days I wouldn't have. Then I'd have 2 or 3 days on the trot and then have a drink. I gradually slipped back. And then I had one hiccup for about 2 weeks, and I didn't have any heart. I just stopped and got over it, and then I haven't drunk since. But I think people who have been drinking a long while, then what suddenly stop it is hard. If I did ever should start to think about drinking again, I try and think of the worst, and that hopefully sort of tends to put you off a bit, to put me off, I suppose it's like most addictions, of whatever they are, really. Yeah, I think if, because I never actually got help until I'd been drinking quite a while, but I think basically if perhaps there was somebody there who could recognise it and perhaps realise what was going on and was generally interested in saying, well, I think you ought to try and do this, or, perhaps a bit of company, really, Yeah, I think that probably would have helped. And I don't think anybody also probably wasn't aware of the situation, what brought